Hey everyone, Jonathan and Molly here as I try to clear all this off. It's our very first live, and if you haven't seen this before, we are Savoring the Magic, and we go into all the details that is the magic in parks and traveling and anything else that we do.
Occasionally movies,
Occasionally movies, all those things. So we weren't intentionally going to be doing one of these tonight.
No.
But Universal announced a ton of information about Epic Universe today. And so we thought, rather than like trying to wait to make a video and all that kind of stuff, we thought, we'll just do a live show. And
we'll try our hand at this, tech problems and all, and see how it goes.
There's always a little bit of that, but that's
we're going to do our best.
That's right. So if you don't know anything about Epic Universe, it's opening in 2025. Originally, it was summer of 2025. Everything today just said 2025, which leads me to think it's probably going to be...
we're being a little more realistic about timeline. That's what I think.
So we'll see. I don't know if that means they're going to move it up or move it back, but I think they're just giving themselves some latitude, depending. I mean, the construction has been moving very quickly.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll see, what all happens. Anyway, they released a ton of concept art. The funny thing is we've been watching them build this thing for, 2 years.
Also the perks of living in Orlando, right?
Yeah. And, there's been a lot of copyright filings and trademarks and all this kind of stuff. So you kind of had a general idea of what was coming. But it's nice to finally get like some concrete answers on some things and then a ton of concept art. They had a
3D renderings. I mean,
3D renderings.
Gorgeous model. We're going to be showing all of that here in just a minute.
Yeah, and there's quite a bit of really nice video footage that they released today. Apparently they're going to be doing kind of like a mini-series of different, I'm sure, devoted to each land.
Very smart.
But it's a really well-produced video, so if you haven't seen it, definitely check that out. But I've got to pull this up here. So this was some of the initial video footage that we had. This is brand new concept art of the land as a total, and this is some of the actual model. It reminds me a lot of some of that first Galaxy's Edge model work. It's really gorgeous. The part that impressed me the most, I think, was actually the Celestial Park entrance type thing, which is what we're looking at there. Anyway, some really gorgeous artwork.
And this is all Celestial Park right now.
Yeah, this is all Celestial Park. So it's kind of an interesting take the way they're doing it. I love all the park, or kind of the land entrances.
Yeah, they're kind of billing them as portals into all of these different areas, which I think is great. I think it's a really creative way to transport guests into a whole different world and having it make as much sense as you possibly can whenever you have very different lands going on. Also, the two of us talk a great deal amongst ourselves and with our friends and anyone else who will listen just about how Disney and Universal, obviously competition, I get it, but also they sharpen one another, right?
Yeah.
So what they did with Harry Potter, then that spurred on Pandora and Galaxy's Edge and all this other stuff. And I feel like what we're seeing with Epic is basically this whole immersive park experience taken not just into one area, but with an entire park. So raising the game kind of once again with that.
Well, I think that's something that usually, I think, as everything has become more immersive and not just a couple rides and a side of the park, I think it's actually been something that Disney included has kind of struggled with, how to have those transition points.
Yeah.
And I mean, like Galaxy's Edge, they all have transition points.
Absolutely.
But they're all different in kind of how they do it. And I think this kind of thought process of having each land as you have a home base of the portal.
Yeah.
And then kind of going out from there. So it's less jarring, I think, in the transition points.
Yeah, well, okay, here's the thing. The way that theme park designers have always accomplished this, going back to Disneyland back in 1955, was like, you had slow transitions of music and foliage and all of these exterior, sensory things. And that's how you were letting guests know that it was changing. And over time, we figured out how to change architecture and even the types of concrete that are being used for paths and all that kind of stuff. But there's no way to get around the fact that you're leaving, if you're in Magic Kingdom, that you're leaving a European-style fantasy land to go into 1700s America, right? Like, there's no way around that. So the portal idea is really interesting to me just because it does give that very clear breaking point.
Yeah, 100%. And this is some of the footage here of Celestial Park. It's very unique in the way that they're doing the carousel.
Yes. Well, also just unique in the fact, too, of like, current theme park design, or what we've been used to for the past however many years, is, you're used to kind of having your main area, your entryway, not really having attractions per se. You know what I mean? Like current Universal Studios Orlando, you have City Walk as the first thing you go into, and sure, there are some things you can do like the escape room and shops and movie theater, things like that. But it's not like you can ride a roller coaster in City Walk, and it's not like you have something that you ride on Main Street USA or Hollywood Boulevard, right? Like this is it's an interesting approach. It's very different what they're doing with Celestial Park, and that, yes, it is the main area. It's the stuff that you're going to walk through to get to these portals and everywhere else. But you are going to have a carousel, and you are going to have dueling roller coasters, and it's such an interesting approach. And we haven't even talked about the fact yet that they're also going to have a hotel that bumps up right into the park.
Yeah, so, I mean, it joins, California Adventure with Grand Californian. Disneyland Paris has kind of the entryway.
Yep.
And then also in Tokyo, you kind of have that. But
this is Universal's first time
First
doing
time
it.
with Universal, but even domestically, it's not something that they've done a lot.
No, it's seen more in the international parks overall.
And even for Disneyland, it's a little more tucked away. It's not like prominent the way
No,
that it is.
it's kind of off with Grizzly Peaks and all that kind of stuff. It's far off to the side. But I mean, to match the part that you're walking into in the park, like the theme of the hotel matches the area you're walking into in California Adventure.
100%.
But there is no hiding. Helios, is that what we said it was?
Helios, yeah.
It's about to call it something else that ended in iOS. But Helios, which is a very cool name for a hotel, and this is gorgeous concept art.
It is, and you can see here, they didn't really talk about it much in the video, but there's going to be a big fountain show in kind of in the middle section of the back. which is kind of what we're seeing there. I don't know if it's going to be so much of a show, or if it's just going to be kind of like a Bellagio style
Right.
fountain. Either way, I think it'll be nice. But
No.
it's a nice focal point for that part of the park, and it's kind of been interesting because we've been watching them build it, but I feel like the concept art is way more ornate
Yes.
than what you kind of currently see with construction.
Right.
So that's a really nice looking hotel. This is another a more high-res look at the actual layout of the park. So you can see Helios there in the back and kind of the generalized area, which there is rooms. There are some expansion pads in between Harry Potter and the coaster, and then really behind Nintendo World and next to Dark Universe. So they already have some expansion points,
Which is smart.
built in. So pretty smart on their behalf.
Yes.
And then we have the entryway, which kind of surprised me because I think I was expecting more of the traditional archway type thing, which is still
It's still kind of there, but
very
it's done
there,
in a
but it's done more like
creative way.
in a creative way, done more like the portal type deal. So I really love the look of it. The funny thing is, we were talking beforehand, and I think some of my favorite parts, apart from just the portal designs, I love how everything is similar, but then all styled to whatever the land is, which we'll look at more of those here in just a second. But the park thing really kind of took me back as to how it's very European. That's the first thing I thought in looking at it.
And kind of the first time that Universal has attended something like that.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean,
Or at least stateside. I can't speak for the international parks at all, but I haven't paid much attention to them, to be honest. So,
true. Yeah.
Give me some grace on that. But I just mean, we're here. We go there somewhat frequently, and I've never thought this reminds me of Europe. So
No, it's definitely a different thing. So I tell you what, let's just jump in, and we're going to jump into the one that I am probably the most excited about,
of course he is.
which is Dark Universe. So they didn't really go into a lot of detail with this, and not that they would. It's just kind of an announcement type deal.
It's an intro video,
But you do get a little short video here of the. I don't know if it's going to be Dracula's or Frankenstein's. There's been kind of some going back and forth with who the main character is going to be for the ride.
They have some options,
They do have an option. I think you're going to see probably all of the classic monsters
Just
in
a
there.
few original IP going on
One or two
from
in that
their
area.
old movies. Just establish the studio, no big deal.
Yeah,
So.
no big deal. I think, but this is going to be so wildly different, and I think it really will open up some big possibilities for Disney going down the road. So I think that's, if this is done as well as what it is definitely shaping up to be, I think this is going to be Frankenstein's ride with the other characters kind
Yeah,
of
I feel like
going
it's a good
into.
chance. Yeah.
The roller coaster over there has already been heavily rumored to be werewolf themed.
Yeah.
We've heard that one of the quick service restaurants is going to be a windmill that supposedly is going to be like on fire like during the day,
Of course it is.
which why not?
Why not?
So I just love all the throwbacks to kind of those original things.
The other thing, not theme park related, but years ago Universal tried to like relaunch Dark Universe and that went very poorly. So I do wonder now though, after they open Epic, after they get kind of an idea of how well it's going over with guests, if we're not going to see a reignition of some of those previous ideas about kind of redoing some of these old films and kind of giving a new spin to them.
Well, it was interesting. One detail I did notice in their press release under Dark Universe, it says guests will encounter everything from the experiments Dr. Victoria Frankenstein of the shadowy landscape where monsters roam in a world of myth and mystery. So that's a fun little bit. So I guess they're going to kind of switch up, kind of the whole Victoria.
Why not?
So
Why not?
pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah.
So from there, we'll go, I guess, in order of the other land that we're the most excited about, which will be the new Wizarding World section.
Yeah, this might inch it out for me a little bit, but that's just because as much as I love the classic monsters idea, I am not a horror person. So I don't know how much time I will actually spend in Dark Universe, but I love the concept and I'm a big fan of them going there. Just don't know how much I'll be able to handle it.
Yeah,
But Harry Potter can handle. That is more my speed.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting that we're going to have a presence for 1920s Wizarding Paris.
Yep.
No matter how you feel about the Fantastic Beasts films, that was always a really beautiful sequence that they had put together. All the production design for that, just gorgeous. So I'm excited to see that. And of course, the British Ministry of Magic. I mean, that is one of the more iconic locations that we haven't seen anywhere yet. So I'm sure that there will be something that involves going into the bowels of that. I just feel like there are so many cool rooms that we've had revealed in the movies from the Ministry of Magic, the UK Ministry of Magic.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see what they do with that. Which, I mean, the tease is just like, oh, the ride coming there. We can't even begin to tell you about it. And I'm like, well, not shocking, but we would love to know more about it, for the record.
Yeah, no, this is fair.
Yeah.
Well, it's also interesting because I think the other big land that I think a lot of people are anticipating
Oh my goodness.
is
Yeah.
the How to Train Your Dragons area, which is really going to be quite a big section.
It's huge. Yeah. Whenever you look at the park map and
Yeah.
kind of how it's broken up, it's a big area.
Well, they have a roller coaster, we know.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a boat ride. There's going to be some sort of show.
Mm-hmm.
And really, they already have a lot of it painted. You can watch a lot of the construction, stuff that's going on. That's already there. It's really coming together.
Yeah.
Painting, and there's ride testing. There's also the I don't know what it's called particularly, but it's you've got like multiple flying sections on a big wheel. I don't know what the ride is called.
Yeah, no idea. But that's okay.
But it's a neat looking concept. That's going to be
It's
that's going to be
cool.
the flying dragon part of it, because
Yeah.
that part has already been testing.
For sure. Also, I mean, I feel like this has been such a successful film property. And also, these movies, really solid movies. And it is one franchise they have not dipped into at all in the theme park world. And I think it's going to be very popular.
It is, and it's going to give them a lot more kid-friendly
Yeah.
areas.
Don't think the kids will be hanging out in Dark Universal so much. But, which I mean, really, what we should say is that, and then, of course, the final portal is Super Nintendo World. So those two are going to be the things that make this more of a destination for families, right?
Yeah, and really that's going to be the big kicker, I think, for the park overall. There's some things in Universal for kids, but there's really, it's more geared, I think, for older,
Yes.
at least on the thrill ride
Yes.
parts of it.
And Epic will be different from that. There are going to be 3 out of the 4 portals that are very much family friendly.
Yeah.
And that will be different for them. But to be fair, I think it is what they need, which they even, the main guy whose name I don't remember at the moment, like he even says it in the promotional thing about this becoming like a week-long destination now.
Yeah.
And that is really the biggest thing about Epic Universe is that, so far it's only been 2 parks. They're in one place. It kind of functions like Disneyland in that way, right?
Yeah.
You can walk back and forth. It's all very walkable. You can spend a couple of days there and get through most things, if not everything, especially if you're going to do like the Express Pass and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You don't have to be there as long.
No.
Whereas with Disney, here at least, you have 4 parks. It is a lot. It's exhausting. You could spend a week here and still not hit everything. And so Universal has always been lacking in that component as far as how long. And I know adding the water park helped. Volcano Bay does help.
Yeah.
But Epic is going to make them an actual week-long destination if people want to explore those worlds. And I would say with the 4 that they've picked, that is definitely going to be the case.
Yeah.
And it's going to level the playing field with Disney.
It is. It's going to give them that final push to really start competing for the dollars. I mean, they already do.
Yeah.
But even more so than what, because I feel like a lot of people come here for, a week or whatever, and we'll go do Disney for a few days and then go to Universal for a few days. But I think with this opening up, people are going to be a little challenged of, are we going to do Disney at all this trip? Or are we going to, just do Universal?
Yes,
or
Universal. And I think it's really the first time that you're going to have that question from most people of, are we just going to do Universal? Because let's be for real, we enjoy being in Universal, but for the most part, and we're not the only ones, the main reason we go in is Harry Potter.
Yeah.
the immersiveness of that environment in particular. And not that we don't enjoy seeing the Jurassic Park area, not that we don't enjoy, all the little Minions area and all that kind of stuff. Like
Yeah.
a lot of it is cute, whatever.
Yeah.
But this is elevated to a whole different degree.
Yeah, I mean, it's really all about the Harry Potter sections for me. That and E.T.
Yep.
And that'll be my
E.T..
hill to die on. Don't touch that ride. If they do touch it, then just update it some. But don't get rid of
Don't get
E.T..
rid of it.
You could just do an E.T. land, just on one of those expansion pads.
Well, there you go. I think only Jonathan will be interested in that, but
No,
that's
probably.
okay. Not only. I'm sure there will be others, but I just don't think it's going to be quite enough to warrant a land. I'm sorry, Jonathan.
Well,
You're trying. You're
one can
trying.
hope.
I know. I know.
I do want to get right back into Celestial Park a little bit here. So there are technically they call them three attractions. There's going to be the Starfall Racers, which is the dual launch racing coasters, which is 62 miles an hour, 5,000 feet of track. So that's going to be a pretty good thrill ride in that section of the park.
Mm-hmm.
You can kind of see some of the water features here. This is going to be basically like a splash pad.
Yeah, we're calling it an attraction, but
Well, Astronomica, that's quite a word.
yes, it is.
And then there is that's what we're looking at right there, I believe. And then the Constellation Carousel, which is what we're circling around here. Now, this is a very interesting looking deal because all the gearing and everything is kind of below.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't really tell here if it looks like maybe the individual circles kind of move around.
Potentially, it doesn't really stay on it long enough to be able to tell. I don't think.
And then there's going to be a couple of different restaurants here as well. We know this one is going to be inset in that fountain, so I think you'll be able to you're going to be in a level with the water there, which is pretty cool.
Pretty cool, yeah.
And then going toward the back, we know that the Mario store is going to be outside of the portal, so that's going to be something a little bit unique.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can't remember if it's back here. I think it's in the back section. There's going to be something called the Blue Dragon Pan-Asian Restaurant, which I believe it's right on this next side. Yes,
Yep.
that is it.
There it is.
Right
Hey,
there.
look.
So it's going to be authentic Chinese, Japanese, and Thai in a full-service restaurant. And there's also going to be the Oak and Star Tavern and Pizza Moon. So 3 different restaurants in the Celestial area of the park. So pretty neat.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the outside of the Mario store. And then also kind of an inside shot there.
Yeah. Which honestly makes sense. It is the one thing about the immersive environment thing is like it's weird to have merch for those areas like just in the park. Right, like in their area, like it's weird to be selling like here, get your Super Mario
Yeah.
merch. It makes a lot more sense to have those kind of stops actually in Celestial Park and in the main area instead of having them in their individual lands.
Yeah, it's a good move, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is the part of the park, apart from the land that we talked about, that is the most impressive to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's really just really well done.
It's a different
gorgeous.
layout.
Yeah.
And I think it's smart. And I think, this is the first time that they kind of have the blessing of space or size, as it will. And so, like, they can do it. They're not trying to link up 2 different things. I think they went for it on this. And I think it's going to pay off for them in the long run.
Yeah, 100%. And there's also interesting, I was reading here through the notes again, and there's going to be 7 acres of water features. And some of the fountains are going up to even 135 feet up in the air. So
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
It's pretty impressive.
It'll create a nice atmosphere.
Yeah, it really will.
Mm-hmm.
So now that we've chatted about it, I think we know what your favorite part and most anticipated part is going to be.
Yeah, sorry guys, it's so predictable. Just Harry Potter. That's it. Yep, pretty easy. Although I'm most excited for Harry Potter. That is, yeah, there's no way around that. But as far as intrigue goes, I'm most intrigued by the Dark Universe. So like I'm excited to see what they do with that.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, I'm most excited for that. I am very intrigued by the ride system for the Ministry Magic ride because there's been a lot of things kind of floating around there. So I'm curious kind of how that's going to work. But I think in general, just kind of theming and feel and tone, I'm most curious
Yeah.
on the Dark Universe. So it's not been something that really anybody has done. So I think you're going to get a different, potentially a different kind of customer there. You know, I think this is a park that literally appeals to something for everybody.
Yeah.
As we've already seen in Japan and California, Super Nintendo World's going to be massively popular.
And then the size of this one is just so
Much bigger, and you're going to have the inclusion of Donkey Kong, which is a whole other section that neither which I think Japan is getting, if I remember correctly. But you know, California is kind of locked in as far as how much
they're
is
very
available there.
landlocked in what all they can
And
do.
obviously, being an actual studio,
Yeah.
it's a little different thing there. But yeah, that is.
I mean, not gonna lie, as someone who like played Mario Kart and stuff growing up, it is a little exciting.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. I'm excited for it, no doubt about it. One other thing that wasn't really mentioned in the video necessarily, but was kind of confirmed, is that the old Legacy store is going to be turned into like a preview center.
Yes.
Or an interactive preview center, I think was the actual terminology used. And I think in the next couple months, we'll probably see this come into actual fruition. But
honestly, it's a good idea. You know, whenever they did that in Epcot for all the changes coming during all of that, which they put in the Odyssey Pavilion, I feel like it was wildly popular. It was very cool, and people were excited to walk in and see what was happening. So, yeah, Universal, do that.
that's right. That's right.
Build anticipation. It's a good call. It's a good call.
Definitely. So let us know in the comments what your favorite part of the park is, or most anticipated, what you're most excited for.
Yeah.
And as usual, we have videos coming out every single week here on the channel.
That's right. We will not have a new episode tomorrow because we're doing this instead.
Yes.
So just Wednesday's episode will come out Saturday. Yay!
Yeah, it's all right. We couldn't really resist with this. It was just too much first looks at things. And we didn't want to wait to talk about it. So we were just push that episode to this weekend.
Yep, pretty much.
So that's how it happens sometimes.
Yes.
But, so yeah, like the video, subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, keep
Savoring the magic.